Okay, so I can make it
Yeah,
a
this
little
one's
bigger. So I can give a quick recap for I think it's 50, maybe 50 people joined last time. So we talk about the first chapter, well, AI agents and MCP. We kind of share our perspective on A2A. We're not sure if it's going to be the winner, but MCP is like very dominant. I've seen people building up MCP server literally every single day into the MCP catalog. So very, very powerful. And then we also talk about KAgent. What's very special about KAgent is allow you to deploy your agent as declarative YAML, and it's running in Kubernetes, and it's very easy to get started. So you can config your agent configuration as YAML, and then you can specify what language, large language model you want to use. You can specify what tools you want to use. You can also plug in your own agent framework, which we didn't capture in the chapter, but that's something KAgent also support. We look forward explore that maybe in a future chapter. We also talk about the book is very like live edition. Well, we're looking at updating it for Amsterdam and potential for Salt Lake City as well. So we would love to hear feedbacks around the book. So should I jump into the chapter 3 now with that?
I think KAgent deserves uh more discussions. I don't know if
Okay.
I can share the websites, but I don't know if you share the YAML, right?
Oh
Let me
yeah,
get the link.
I have a YAML to share. It's right in the book. You can also go to KAgent Dev to see a little bit more about KAgent. So what's interesting about KAgent is very familiar to Kubernetes user, platform engineers, DevOps engineer, and where you can specify a description of your agent. You can specify your agent is declarative, which is the default. The other type, I believe, is bring your own. So you can specify whether you are bring your own agent framework to run your agent. By default, we use Google's ADK, but you don't have to use ADK as the agent framework. And then the most important, it's like the brain of the agent. It's the system message, which you instruct how the agent should behave and what are the instructions for the agent. So in this scenario, it's a very, very simple agent. Well, it's that it does Kubernetes system prompt a system for Kubernetes, and it can do Kubernetes troubleshooting and operation. And it also explains like the core capabilities of this agent, what the agent can do, what agent are not supposed to do, what are the guidelines for the agent. So that's all part of the system prompt. And then as part of the agent declarative configuration, you also get to specify the model config. In this case, the default model config, I think it's the GPT-1. And then you can also specify the tools. The tools is getting really interesting by the agent. By default, the KAgent provide, I think, 80 also tools. Those are the MCP tools. In fact, Dimitri on the call is one of our maintainer on the KAgent side for the tools repo. We also allow you to bring your own MCP servers, and the KAgent has the capability to either automatically discover those by you telling us through a particular label, or you can manually register your MCP tools with KAgent. And then as part of the agent YAML, you get to specify which out of the 100 tools you may have access or 1,000 tools you may have access, which are the tools your particular agent wants to use. It's important to be precise on what tools your agent wants to use, that you don't give like a huge number so that it can eliminate the large language model token cost to calling different tools and trying to figure out which one to use.
And the tools, I see, and so I wanted to share both the book and the webpage, but if you see in the YAML, you specify tools, and these tools, it can be another Kubernetes object, which is the type KMCP, right, as a CRD. Did
By
you
the
Yeah.
want?
way, Christian is here. I just wanted to remind you
Oh,
guys if
Christian
you're not
joined.
following the chat. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, hi,
yeah,
Christian.
Christian, do you want to give a quick intro for folks
Yeah,
who don't
book
know you? I
the
think
Yes.
Christian
everybody
is
knows
the book author for this book, and he was not able to join last week. But welcome, Christian. I think you're on mute.
Maybe
Or
he has microphone problem.
he's not. I see the
It's okay. He's
green
the one with the solo
microphone.
IO cap, so you can follow on the camera.
Still no?
Yes, now.
Yes.
Yes. We can hear
Okay.
you really well.
Okay, all right. Sorry about that. Sorry I'm late. Sorry to interrupt.
Welcome. Welcome to the
Thank
book
you.
club, Christian. So nice to have you here.
And he
Yeah,
has
thank
so
you.
many books behind him.
I know.
Oh, that is
Look
a
at
very
that.
wide angle of my room. Yeah. Oh, we see Frank on there. Awesome. Cool. Yeah, we got a good group here. Sorry. All right. I interrupted. There was progress being made.
No,
Oh
no,
no.
really. Do you want to give a quick intro?
Yeah, whoever doesn't know who you are, Christian, and what do
Sure.
you do, and why you think we need a book like this? Why you wrote a book? Why you spend your time writing a book?
Yeah, so I'm Christian Posta, global field CTO at Solo, working on my 8th year here, having a lot of fun. I would say we've been over the last 2.5 years working. Our customers have kind of initially kind of pulled us in the direction of AI, and then we realized, oh, wait a minute, we have a lot of expertise in some of these networking protocols and security and that kind of stuff. So I've been working a lot on agent identity and access management and architecture. And a lot of our customers are the platform engineering team. And they're being to support agentic workloads, MCP, agents. And we wrote this book to kind of help folks wrap their head around some of it, where some of the newer technologies fit in. And I think we're going to, I don't know if Lynn said this in the beginning, but we're going to we're going to keep this book updated.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a revision for KubeCon, is it in Amsterdam? I think?
Yeah.
And some additional content to it as well. So yeah, hopefully people find it useful.
Yeah, thanks for that intro, Christian. Just to quickly answer, I saw a question in the chat about the model config. So as you can see, the model config is very declarative. So we did show an example in the book how you can add a model config for Gemini, which then once you add this model config, then back to the KAgent agent YAML that we were just going through, you can switch to use that particular model config with the default model config. So I hope that answers your question. I think Carlos, you were also was talking about the tools. I want to quickly clarify that. Yes, the tools are also declarative. There is a resource called MCP server. So that's what's composed. The tools are coming from the MCP server that's registered in the system. So you could have the tools from the MCP server resource. There is also a resource called remote MCP servers. You could have tools from remote MCP servers. The reason we have both is because we believe people could run MCP servers inside of the cluster, or people could run it, connect to an existing MCP server that may be hosted elsewhere. So that's the rationale for that.
I see.
I'm not sure
Yeah.
if there's other questions in the chat I should take.
No, there's no more questions. Yeah, the CRD. I was looking at the CRD, and it looks like maybe there's updates since last time I saw KAgent. The tool type provider type is MCP server, but there's also agent as a enum on the tool type. How would that work, Christian or Link, if you're aware? When you provided tools, it says you can provide an MCP server of a tool provider type or agent, which I was like, agent in a tool?
Because we can Yeah, if you separate out the tool, the word tool for a second, and just think, what is it that's happening under the covers, right? When you present an AI model with the prompt, you can also give it a set of tools, right? And MCP is one way to do that. You could, but the model will respond back, hey, call this tool, whatever that means, right? That could be MCP, it could be something else. And in the KAgent world, we can invoke MCP tools, but we can also invoke other agents.
Interesting.
Following that same model, because the AI model doesn't care what the thing is. It just says, you gave me a description, you gave me some parameters. This could be a function in a library. This could be an API call. This could be MCP. This could be an agent invocation. This could be a database call. This could be anything, right? The AI model doesn't care. It just says, you gave me this information. You said I can call you. Now you go do that. And one of those calls can be just calling another agent to do something.
Okay, so in the tool you specify the tool type is agent, and then there's a ref to the CR that is a type KAgent. So it already knows how to get the endpoint of that other agent. So actually you can do multi-agent system, right? Creating an agent, making a tool become an agent, and happen to use are you using the MCP protocol? I guess you're not using the MCP protocol at that time, because the agent is exposing A to A, I believe. Your KAgent is default.
It could be A to A. I think it is A to A right now, but it in the past it wasn't, and it doesn't have to be.
I think it wasn't in the beginning, right? So now by default, when you create an KAgent object CR, the endpoint is an A to A. So this agent will call the other agent through A to A protocol, like tasks and messages.
If it's as updated as I think, so the A to A exists for sure now, but for this specific tool calling scenario, is it A to A? I'm not 100% sure. But let's say it's not A to A. It was just an HTTP call.
So Carlos, you actually asked a very interesting question. Dimitri, feel free to weigh in. I believe when we first started with KAgent, the tools are not using MCP, and which is some of our legacy tools, but we've moved all the tools to be MCP based. But you still have that legacy tool support in there.
Okay. Yeah, it's very, very interesting that was put under the tool. Maybe the docs need to highlight that, because you can have like tools and then have agents, but I see other configuration. Just to move the conversation forward, there's something there called skills under A2 config. Who can talk a little bit more about that thing? Like, it says tools. I think it's not in the YAML of the book, but it's in the spec. And it has skills, like one sentence, like one string skills.
Yeah, we didn't have it in our book, but I believe we have some documentation around that on the KAgent site, mainly because we actually added this feature to KAgent when we finished writing the book for Atlanta.
Yeah, and it says it's an A2A skills, metadata-based skills that are defined inline in the agent configuration. So it looks like it's like an inline string, but also it says can refer to broad types. It says it can be a KAgent container-based skills, executable skill package as container image and loaded from the registry. You can use agent registry to build and push skills to the registry. So pointing to a registry to get the skill, is that what it is?
Yeah. So basically, when Anthropic announced skills, this is back in November, I think.
Yeah.
They announced it, but they didn't open it. They made it part of Claude. They made it a function part of Claude. And we said, well, this is a very interesting concept for agents. How can we build some level of determinism for how agents might approach a particular task, and package that as, just like what Claude was doing. but do it in a not Claude specific way. And so we started working on that, building that. Definitely, this was after the book was published. But then I think Anthropic opened up the skills stuff.
Yeah, to be a standard. I think they just did it like 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Yeah, making standards. I think so. Agentskills.io became like a project.
Yeah,
That's
but it's not part of any foundations, right?
not in
Yeah,
a
no.
foundation.
Maybe try
I wouldn't be
something.
surprised if it lands in the AAIF. By the way, we talked about it last week too.
Let me try something to see if I can share.
I'm a little lost with the skills now. Just being the silly voice in the room. I kind of thought I understood why MCPs are there, tools, what tools mean. Skills are a new concept. I think I want to read a bit more.
Can you let me share, Lynn?
Yeah, go
Let me
ahead.
see if I can. This other trick would work of using Chrome to show the PDF, or it's still blurry for some reason.
That's your book, yeah, still.
Can people see it? Is it?
Yeah, we can see it.
Yes.
But it's blurry, right? Whatever I share is
I think
blurry.
it's better than before now. You can make it maybe a little bit bigger.
No, I don't know.
Why
There's
this
something.
too was having issues. I don't really understand, Carlos, but anyway.
No, I need to test anyway. But yeah, I'll stop and Link can start again. And you can maybe open the link on that. So yeah, who wants to take the question from Sevi? Like, what are skills for folks that know what it is, or maybe
for like
the
skills
difference,
for noobs.
the difference between an agent having a skill and an agent having a MCP tool.
I think I can just comment a few things. So skills have two parts, right? One part is a skill definition, which is skill MD, which can be mounted just on a file system. So pretty much every agent now able to read it and understand how to do a specific thing. In order to like reduce your context, like MCP tools are putting everything in your context. So eventually, if you have too many of them, you run out of context, and then your agent cannot do things, right? So, but if you give it like if you give to the agent a file system, and you have subfolders with multiple skills, agent can dynamically look on it and then find which skill is relevant, and then do whatever is described in the skill MD of that subfolder. So it's like a hierarchical list of things which can be executed. MCP servers on the other side, it's more like a remote servers, right? So you need to call them. But because skills may have not only instructions how, but skills also have some kind of execution scripts or something like this, then it comes to the kind of a sandbox and execution question, which is not necessarily should be there, but if it's there, you need to make sure you are able to run those scripts, and you need to provide like a safe environment inside agent where you can execute it, right? So if you need to have either libraries or just bash scripts or something which is runnable inside your container, right? And I think this still challenging in a way that to make it the most secure way, and guarantee all of the permissions and security on that, because it's basically you're exposing kind of like remote execution for LLM, right?
Yeah. But I think it's
just one more thing about it. If you look on MCP, right, there is a feature in MCP which many people are not really using. Everyone talking about functions, and you have functions, you call functions, and so on. But MCP has actually resources, and MCP is also allow you to have a prompts for those resources, right? So basically, it allows you to do very similar thing that you have in skills using those prompts and resources. You can put there pretty much the same description, and agent will be able to use it.
Right. So it's in a way, I hope I'm getting it right. Like skills MD is a way to export is possible there for agents to understand and direct. it also helps with my last week's question, because I really wasn't sure how we would be able to limit the context, or like how we would be able to explain the context of such an agent, right, or a tool per se. So I think I'm getting there. Thank you, Dimitri.
Yeah, but you need, in order to make possible and open these skills for the agent, you need to give it basic skill, a file system, and read the file. So if you have these two tools, they are usually like either hidden, like in implementation, or it can be even like a possibility to abstract the file system with kind of remote call and retrieve the skills from, I don't know, like OCI registry, or mount it as a volume, or multiple ways to do it. But essentially, it's like a file system. You need to be able to browse it, find the relevant, and then use it.
Yeah. So one thing, a good analogy I hear people talking about is, so when you have large language model, right? One of the challenges with large language model is the data is not very specific to your, tailored to your needs, right? That's why people do RAG. To kind of provide your customer data. And some people tends to think about skills as kind of the RAG for your agent, where it provides more instruction, more steps, more something to execute along the way to augment the context that the agent has. Right? So I think it's a good analogy to think about the skills.
All these things are becoming, just to add to it a little bit, for Sevi, is a way to manage context. Like there's going to be a lot of context management, because at the end of the day, you send a bunch of text files to the model when you make a call to the model and you get back. So for example, there's different patterns of like separating context. So imagine if you have a generic agent like cloud or things like that, if you are doing today taxes, you will need to load the tool of taxes tools. But then tomorrow you're going to be doing cooking. So now you need the tools for cooking. And also in addition of cooking, like what are the practices or guidelines that you have? There's more context into it. So skills becomes of like, or another practice will be like you separate that into two agents, one for taxes, one for cooking. But skills, what gives you is a folder of the contexts. So if you ask something about cooking, the agent will say, well, let me look through all the folders to find this is cooking folder, and then I will load all that context when I send a cooking questions to the model, and not the taxes thing. The taxes doesn't exist in that context, so you use less context when you talk to the model. So it's a dynamic way of like loading context, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and also if your file system with skills is writable, you can actually use it as a kind of a form of memory. So because agent can update the skill as soon as it learns something when it works. So you can update the skill MD with some additional information based on your execution. So it's could be very dynamic.
Yeah, I have to be careful in certain environments for that, because if the skill says never do this, and they're like, oh, but I want to do it this time. Well, next time, go ahead and do it. But that's not guardrails. Before we continue, Saif, you have a question. You have your hands up. Sorry, you waited a long time. Go ahead, Saif.
Yeah, the unmute is always hidden, so
unmute yourself.
It took me sometimes like few minutes to unmute myself. Actually, I want to continue. Like Sevi said, like it's a noob question. But I would like to project on Kubernetes because we are running on Kubernetes KAgent. So now Kubernetes is kind of orchestrator for container, and with KAgent it will become also orchestrator for agents, right? So if you can run many agents, then Kubernetes should orchestrate many agents to connect to each other. And then with the container skill, you have another container running. So that's like kind of another security layer to worry about, right? Because you have another container that will run and that will like load your skills, or as you call it, skills. So is that like something we should worry about, or because if you run in a very regulated environment, that's another layer of security which you have to take into consideration, because you will load another container into your environment.
Can you
Yeah,
not treat it like another container? Oh no.
I don't know how it will run. Actually, will it run?
yeah, I
on
don't think it runs as
You're
another
concerned
container,
about-
Dimitri, right? Just file, like getting files from the registry for the registry type.
Yeah, it's OCI with skills. It's usually just a volume. You can think about it as just a mounted volume. But the agent itself, was your concern about agents containers or skills as extra containers? I'm not sure.
Mike, concern is like a question, like to understand, like, so the agent will run as a container itself, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that agent, will it call another container, or it will run a container inside it, like to be container inside the container?
With the current, it depends on your implementation, but I think you can bring different sandboxes implementations.
Yeah.
Even the Kubernetes has a special interest group for kind of sandboxing agents and all of that. I'll find the link and share. At the
Yeah, I
moment
think
in
the agent
KAgent, it's
actually
the
KAgent,
same
yeah.
one. It's the same one.
Yeah,
Same
yeah.
one. That's in a container.
So basically, you can, if you're not trusting container as a boundary, this new thing called, I think it's called Agent Sandbox. So Dimitri, correct me if I'm wrong. So and
Yep.
KAgent also have supports for that. So where you can run your agent in this sandbox environment, which is supposed to have more isolation bounded than the normal pod and the container in Kubernetes. Because the idea is the agent you are running or the skills you're running, it may be wipe coded, right? It may be actually done through a coding agent where you don't actually, you may not have your ISO approved on it yet. So you can test it with the sandbox first.
Oh, thank you.
Interesting.
Because actually, I saw also in the definition, not container, but also executable. Like it can run a binary, right?
Yeah.
The more like isolation you have, the better. And we know, like, I think like container has the least.
That's a danger area. Okay, so
yeah.
Yeah, it depends how you configure your agent tools, right? So if you don't have a tool to execute a program, right, will never execute, and some environments may not have that. So talking about what's the name of the project, Lynn, that you said there's an agent sandbox or sandbox something?
it's in the link. It's in the chat.
Okay.
Oh, okay, from the Kubernetes SIG. I was not aware. So this when this got created.
Recently.
They announced it right before Atlanta, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Is it real? Is that word agent there related to AI, or happens?
Of course,
Yeah.
yeah. I think Google started this project in the community, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay,
We have another question in the chat,
Yep.
by the way. In the book page 51, is there any reason why skills is defined in A2A config? Does it imply
Yeah, that's
skills
true.
is used in A2A?
Yes.
I think that's the scales from the A2A protocol, different than the agent scale started by Anthropic. Yeah, let me share my screen to the book. So
this is where confusion often starts when people see skills here and then another skills. They really make a.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, in the agent definition, there's A2A config, and then underneath there's the skills.
So basically, A2A is a different protocol, and it's not like MCP, which has a function with some description and things, right? You need to tell in some way in the text form what the agent can do. When you have multi-agent systems, so for example, you have root orchestrator and multiple sub-agents. So, and if they connected via A2A, this A2A has an agent card, and that agent card includes all the skills and also how you can call that remote agent via RCP, right? So basically, it gives you ability to understand what skills you can expect and if it to use it or not to use it.
Yeah,
interesting. So these are not the cloud skills, right? Christian, I think, pointed out the answer in the chat. Yeah.
This is an unfortunate name collision.
Guardrails, we should be in a better name.
It's the agent needs to publish to other agents or to the outside world. Hey, what are the things that it can do, right?
Yeah.
How does that agent advertise its abilities? Maybe that should
Oh,
have
the
been the word.
agent card
Yes.
skills.
The
Okay,
agent
now I
card,
understand. So for that, now I got
by the way,
that.
you can tell because it's part of the A2A config. So this
Yes.
particular scale is very unique to the A2A protocol.
Yeah, so the A2A protocol, I think we haven't talked about what A2A protocol works. Maybe we'll talk later. But just the gist is the A2A protocol. You create an agent and you expose of like what this agent can do, and it's then called an agent card, and it has descriptions like this is like text, and one of the fields is like I can help you do cooking recipes. I can help you build a house. I like what are the things that is possible this thing can do that to inform the user that is going to use it of like is this agent can do what
Yep.
I need? Oh no, it cannot do taxes, so I will not use it, right? I'm looking for an agent card that can do taxes. Like that's why I think I think myself and others we're confused of these skills versus the cloud skills. So KAgent doesn't support cloud skills. Is that correct?
Look, KAgent also recently added agent scale support that's started by Anthropic, but they donated to
Yeah.
an open standard. KAgent also support A2A protocol as part of the A2A
Yeah.
protocol, which supports
Okay,
scale
both.
for the agent card. The book, though, only covers the skills as part of the A2A
A2A.
protocol because when we wrote the book, KAgent doesn't have agent scale support yet. Sorry, it was very confusing.
Okay.
I think you can also apply metaphor here that like your cloud skills mounted as a file system locally, your A2A skills is always remote via agent cards, right? Card. So basically you need to call a HTTP URL to fetch the agent card and understand the skills and everything. And also the communication to that agent like is remote by itself, by nature, right? But when those skills which are coming as a skill MD, they are file system, they are local, and they require you to do some kind of a sandbox of executed environment.
Yeah. If you need the sandbox, right? The skills that MD can be just like best practices, right, on how to do
Right,
things,
right.
or like the more
Even call
context.
MCP, right? You can say call MCP. Basically, do not run dangerous code locally. You can use skills to explain how to use better way your MCP.
Or use this MCP with this MCP like context instructions, right? You have these tools available.
Maybe you have a MCP to run remote code and test it, and it just returns you results, and it's in a safe environment remotely and stuff like that. Yeah.
So we're going to visit KAgent in the book. I think this was just an intro, very quick intro of KAgent because we can be hours talking about KAgent, or which you're welcome to come back and we can do sessions on KAgent. I think there's a lot of interest. So moving to KMCP, it's another CRD, a way of like creating a YAML file that spins up a pod, but this pod happens to now, instead of an agent, be a tool or a set of tools. Lynn, you can explain KMCP. I think it's on line page 25.
Yeah, I got it. So I don't know, Christian, do you want to explain if you want to? Oh, I can.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Maybe I'll give the quick overview and you can fill in more details. Okay, so KMCP. So we've had some changes around this project. When we went to print, I think Lynn remind me that was probably the end of September or early October. And so I'll give you the high level. So KMCP is basically some tooling to help you get started building MCP servers and deploying them onto Kubernetes. If you go look at how to build an MCP server, the docs, or go use a code generator from Claude or Cursor or something.
Oh, FastMCP, I think is very popular. That's the one I use for all my demos.
Right. Now, how can you get it started quick and then add more tools to it, right? Because that's what you want to do is add tools and expose those tools, and then focus more so on the remote MCP service deployment, right? And so that means you're going to deploy it into an environment that can be accessed to the MCP server over remote. I've written a blog in the past. I'll just plug this real quick, where at least in the enterprise environment, we recommend, and what we're seeing, the enterprise is kind of pushing in this direction, that standard in MCP servers, unless you're just doing things locally, if you're taking an MCP server and that MCP server needs to make remote API calls, and to make those remote API calls, you have to give API keys to the MCP server to do it. That's going down a very bad path. So what we see our customers and the enterprises kind of pushing in the direction of consuming remote MCP servers, staying away from standard in for remote operations. And so KMCP was built to, all right, so how do we quickly build these MCP servers with the idea that these are remote MCP servers, and deploy them into Kubernetes, and then plug into the rest of the ecosystem like KAgent or Agent Gateway or any of those things. So it is a tool for bootstrapping MCP servers, potentially in fast MCP if you're doing Python, but Python is not the only language that we support.
And it looks like it's heavily on tooling, right? Because it's not necessarily just Kubernetes and controller. It's kind of like there's an MCP.YAML that is not for Kubernetes. I'm talking about the non-Kubernetes version of that YAML.
Yeah, because we can build it as Docker containers. Yeah,
it's like a CLI driver, right? There's a lot of logic on the most of the logic and the value is on the CLI handling that YAML, right? To construct it. I see secrets also being like shard. Can you talk a little bit about that? About secrets being like I see like local dev production. How does the secrets are managed?
Where are you seeing this? Where specifically?
Which page is that?
I was looking under managed secrets.
I think you might be looking at the.
Oh, on the website. I was
The
I was on the
website.
website.
Okay. I mean, we can talk about this very briefly. So basically what KMCP does, just to clarify what you just said, by the way, you could do Docker if you're running outside of Kubernetes. In Kubernetes environment, we have a controller for KMCP. That's the brain to operate on the MCP server resource, right? So when you deploy your MCP server into Kubernetes, it deploys the MCP server resource in your cluster, and the KMCP controller acts on top of that and transform that to the MCP service that Christian talked about. So it has a deployment, it has a service, and everything. Just to answer your question on the secrets, you can specify configuration for your secrets as part of the MCP server resource, if I remember correctly. And then as part of that, we will create Kubernetes secrets for you. So you don't have to manage, create a Kubernetes secrets yourself. And then your MCP server can read. We are automatically, I think we have some code to automatically bridge, like reading the secrets for you. So you'll be able to get the secrets from us through the deployment we set up.
And we have a few minutes left. What about or Christian or Lynn? Can you talk a little bit about the security? Like in this case, you deploy the CR, which is the KMCP. It basically is a Docker container with FastMCP, implementing the MCP server protocol. What about security OAuth? It's like I saw something around because I was looking for a YAML, a complete YAML, couldn't find it, but I saw something about MCP authorization server, key cloud provider, MCP clients. Like, what is the level of support right now when you spin up an MCP server? What do you get out of the framework for security to protect that MCP server?
So we're kind of putting these tools together, just like following the Linux philosophy, where you have one tool that does things well and then you compose them. But so to adequately answer your question, I think that's where we get to Agent Gateway.
Yeah, that's why I was asking. Like, I thought, because I was surprised to see these MCP authorization servers and keyclocks on these things. That's in the CR of the MCP. I thought that, like you mentioned, like the MCP server would not have any authentication authorization, just put it behind agent gateway. Is that true or not? Like, why is this MCP authorization here in the KMCP? Is it like legacy?
Where are you? There was some legacy stuff there that we started going down that path.
Okay.
Are you seeing it? Is this again in the book, or are you looking
On the
somewhere?
on the
In
website,
the book, maybe in the
on the
website
CRD.
that we need to clean up, I think.
But this is also good, right, in the book club to discuss like what's legacy we should people should not be looking at, and what's the new way of doing things. So you're saying that this embedded.
I mean, I might be misspeaking. I did not see these in there before. Maybe these are new. And maybe these actually go configure agent gateway.
Yeah.
That's what I was tempting, but it's hard to believe that the CR of the, I don't know if this is the CR of the spec or for the tool. If it's for the tool, then, but regardless, I think your best practice suggestion for people is to, for those type of things, do it at the agent gateway, like normal microservices we're doing for the longest time, right? That where you write a web server in Go or TypeScript or Node.js, right? You don't burn that. How are you going to authenticate, handle the flow? You put something in front of it. Is that correct? Like kind of like the best practice, Christian?
That is the best practice, because that way you don't have to modify your MCP server to add all specific code. By the way, thank you, Carlos, for pointing this out. Christian, I think what happens is we actually contribute this back after we read the book. I'll clarify with the team. So basically, we provide this customer resource to help user to easily configure MCP authorization now after we publish the book, which would be a great chapter for us to add. I think that's like one of the hardest topics around MCP is how do we do authentication and authorization.
Yep. And then with that, I think we go ahead.
Just maybe one comment. I think the whole point was in this ecosystem, you've seen like KAgent, you've seen Agent Gateway and KMCP. The idea was that user can combine from those blocks. Like, I just want to run MCP, and you can run MCP, which will bundle inside this Agent Gateway, and you can do basic policy on top and things like that. But this Agent Gateway was kind of like a neat container next to it, and it because you don't want to re-implement all this functionality, so at some point of time, this was kind of the direction to allow you the minimum, like Kickstarter. You can start like MCP, it has bundled like Agent Gateway, so you can call it and you can put policies on top, whatever you need. Yeah. But then
is that implemented today? That's how KMCP is implemented today, that you have the web server MCP container and a sidecar Agent Gateway in front of it? I've done it like manually, but I didn't know if KMCP
in the past we did have that. I need to go back and check.
Okay.
We need to check because it was moved back and forth between controllers.
Yeah.
We wanted to remove the duplication. If you start to deploy it together with KAgent, then, for example, some CRDs start to be like overlapping. And there was one proposal when we separated this, then we decided, okay, we put it back. So I think the feedback from this meeting, very important, is like we need to internally clean up these legacy stories and
just me making trouble looking at the docs, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Some questions. Okay, we are out of time today, but I think this leaves the discussion to the next one, which is like the agent gateway, right? What is it and how to use it? And if you're using in Kubernetes, then we'll put the three things, the last thing together. Like Dimitri said, thank you for joining today. He's an expert on the project. Thank you, Lee and Christian, for inviting him. We'll have the agent, we have KMCP, and then we have the agent gateway, which I think most enterprises are going to be looking at that. The other aspects is like how to get started, but the agent gateway, I think I see it everywhere. Of like, doesn't matter how you build the agent or the MCP server, the gateway is something that is used for the components of the agent and also the LLM, which is very important. And I think that's going to be a good topic for for next week. So thank you so much for people that joined. Thank you, Lynn, Christian, and Dimitri from the solo team to join, and as always, my co-organizer Sevi. Go ahead.
So you know.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Dimitri doesn't work for solo.
Oh
but
no. Okay, I thought he would work for solo. Sorry, he's
Well,
an expert in the project then.
if you have an open
You're managing.
position now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody, our lovely attendees, and Christian, Lynn, Dimitro, Carlos, as usual. It was lovely. See you next week.
Thank you
you.
so much for hosting us. See you next week.
Thank
See
you.
you. Bye.